DC did a really good job with branding Our Worlds at War as an event. Remember, the core narrative runs through 4 different Superman books written by 4 different authors, and making that flow and feel cohesive isn't an easy thing. And as someone examining this story as back issues, I was worried about exactly how many Superman comics I was going to need to get in order to uncover the main plotline that I was looking for. But when I started pulling comics out of Coliseum of Comics' back issue bins, I was immediately put at ease. To begin with, DC did a lot of work to make the first parts of Our Worlds at War stand out on the shelves. All 4 covers have large rectangular areas at the top and bottom, which is where the logo and a phrase about that particular book are. Our last issue discussed, The Adventures of Superman, was the one where he fought the new Suicide Squad, and so it had Suicide Mission on it, that kind of thing. The event title, Our Worlds at War, is then run along the very top of the cover, ending on the right with a little bit of imagery, meaning the 3 worlds that are going to be involved in this event, and we'll see this logo on all of the related tie-ins. Finally, there is a small Superman shield, meaning the S design that he wears so proudly on his chest, somewhere on the cover as well. Printed within it is the year the comic was published, in this case 2001, and then the read order for Superman's comics at the time. So our first issue, Loeb's Superman 171, had 30 on it, then Adventures of Superman was 31, making our first issue today 32. Right away, without even cracking the tape on the bag and board, I could tell exactly what books I needed and exactly what order they needed to be read in. That saved me so much time and headache pain and, potentially, money. I'm not sure whose idea that little logo was, but thank you so much. This made collecting this part of the crossover so much easier. An easy reading experience only made me more excited to get these books. These teams know what they're doing, and that bodes well for the story itself. My name is Ben, and this is Comic Book Breakdown, episode 13.2, Our Worlds at War Crossover, Part 2. This time we move to Superman, the Man of Steel, issue 115, which was written by Mark Schultz, penciled by Doug Mahnke, inked by Jose Marzan Jr., and it was colored by Wildstorm FX again. Hey, good to see you guys again. Right away, I want to point out the tone shift that Mahnke and Marzan Jr. bring to this title. Our last 2 artists, Ed McGuinness and Mike Ringo, were very animated in their art styles. Very bright and cartoony, and I mean that in the best of ways. But Mahnke's artwork is fairly realistic. His Superman is muscular, sure, but he's not the massive tank that McGuinness's was, or the ageless being that Ringo's was. Mahnke's Superman looks much more human, at least to me, and Marzan Jr.'s inks over those pencils with a rough hand. This particular issue is packed with dark shadows and scratchier teleportation beams. It feels much more real, more grounded. It's a pretty abrupt shift, especially given how this issue starts off as well. We open with narration about falling asleep in your comfortable bed, safe in the knowledge that today is done, and tomorrow brings new opportunities. We see images of sleeping people of all ages and ethnicities, ending on the slowly opening eye of Clark Kent. As he realizes that something is off, his eyes suddenly snap open, the camera pulls back, and we see him, and countless others, suspended in glowing green beams of energy. Clark, aka Superman, and the entire city of Metropolis have been abducted by aliens. As the rest of the citizens begin to wake up, their reactions vary. Some of them are just concerned, one thinks that this must be the Rapture, another suggests that they're actually in hell, but Clark remains calm. The space that they're in is mostly darkness, but he spots a column and climbs up a ways to get a better view. He figures that there must be millions of people here, so now he starts wondering who could have done this and why. Good journalistic instincts there, Clark. Then he starts to use his powers to scan the room and finds his wife, Lois, his best friend, Jimmy Olsen, and a few other faces that he recognizes, but I don't. Then he climbs down and heads towards his wife, smiling inwardly when an older man comforts a woman nearby, promising her that Superman will save the day. Not when he's shirtless and in his PJ bottoms, pal. Clark and Lois reunite, Lois relieved that she isn't here alone. They hug, but only for a moment, as Clark can't waste time. He needs to figure out what's going on, and someone will need to stay here and keep the situation calm. That's going to be Lois's job. Clark points her to the column and gives her directions to the others that they know. Before he can leave, a pair of tall, hunched-over, long-legged aliens with lumpy yellow skin and a single horizontal eye approach the humans. These aliens assure the Metropolians that they are in no danger, they aren't going to be harmed, but they need to present any metahumans or city officials. They're looking for important people. Oh yeah, fellas, that doesn't sound suspicious at all. So Lois is going to try and keep things together here, and Clark sneaks away to find out what he can about this place. It takes him a minute, but he does eventually find a wall, and, using super strength, he tears it open. No one in this cramped space of 6.6 million people hears or cares about the sound of shredding metal, nor do they notice him sneak through and then push the metal back into place. We are now in a high-tech hallway, the walls red but with glowing yellow panels along the ceiling. Clark sneaks down the hall, finding a lumpy blue alien at the very end at some sort of computer station. He taps the alien's shoulder, blinds him with some level 1 heat vision, and then knocks him out with a punch. He then steals the alien's jumpsuit because he needs a disguise. And really? Because you totally look like you're a human being, Clark. I don't know if putting on an alien leather jumpsuit is really going to fool anybody. Having left a now naked alien on the floor, Clark notices the 20-foot-tall glass airlock. A ringed world hangs outside, with either 3 moon-like objects orbiting it, or there are some planets a fair distance away. This boy ain't in Kansas, or on Earth, anymore. His disbelief is short-lived as a group of 8 tough-looking aliens surround him. In alien speech, one of them comments into a microphone that the security patrol has found the escapee. They start brawling, and then the narrative jumps to Lois, so let's pause. This was the most jarring issue of this crossover so far. I almost thought that I had missed an issue, but no, the story will confirm that all of these things are just new developments. As with our previous 2 comics, we only know what Superman knows, and I do like how unsettling this is. Even though Clark remains calm, he feels out of his element in this situation, nor can he just fight his way through it without revealing his identity or endangering the people around him. He is at a disadvantage this whole scene, and that's kind of refreshing to see. I do appreciate his faith in Lois, who is scared as well, but fights past it in order to help those around her. She might not have superpowers, but she is smart, tenacious, and level-headed. Whatever situation they are in, she can handle it. I said before that Mahnke and Marzan Jr. run a little darker artistically, but that makes them perfect for this particular story. The various Metropolian people are varied and realistic looking. The aliens that we've seen so far look like aliens. There are no human-looking Saiyans here. Everything is gross or creepy or lumpy looking. They really excel at this. My only real issue with the artwork is Clark tearing a hole in the wall, then, untearing the hole? Because I just don't think that's how metal works. The artists also make the hole that he tears through seem much deeper than it should be, so to me, it looks like Clark tore open the wall into an empty space, then he crawled through a couple of feet of that, and then he tore a new hole in order to exit the opposite end. I don't think that's what happened. I do think that they mean that he just tore open the wall, stepped through, and then shoved it back into place, but that is what it looked like to me. It's the most muddied bit of storytelling in the issue, and really this entire crossover so far, and even that's a really small thing. That decision to do that still works, and it still works from a narrative perspective as well. So Lois has met up with Jimmy and a blonde woman named Maggie Sawyer. They march up to the Cyclopean aliens and basically demand that they get some basic human needs addressed first, like proper clothes, bedding, how's about some food and bathroom facilities, huh, fellas? And the aliens nod patiently. Ah, finally, a reasonable being. They appoint Lois as their representative of humanity and request from her a list of needs. That is shockingly calm of them. Back at the fight scene, Clark is brawling with his new alien buddies, but he's running out of time. He's already lost the element of surprise, and he doesn't want to risk destroying the life support systems on the ship. So he heat visions the airlock, they all get sucked outside, and everything is just going great. Except that the alien dudes begin to fire upon him, and they don't seem to care how much damage they do to the ship that is floating behind Clark. So, grumbling in frustration, Clark flies back inside, melts some metal over the hole that he created, and is interrupted. Someone tells him that the hole is self-repairing, he needn't worry. So Clark turns and discovers 4 of his enemies: the red-skinned, human female-looking Maxima, the tall, muscular, gray-skinned male Graven, the red-skinned brawler Massacre, and the also red-haired, muscular, yellow-skinned female called Mongal. Like the villain Mongol, but a woman, Mongal. And with them are Starfire of the Teen Titans and space adventurer Adam Strange. And he's like, WTF, guys, what is this? Because everyone here is just, like, cool with each other. Maxima is like, dude, we were not prepared for you. And Graven is like, I knew it. I knew that this was going to go south. But Starfire, being a consummate professional, is aware that humans are still being teleported on board, and safeguarding their arrival is paramount. Clark jumps back into the discussion here. 4 out of the 6 people here, he doesn't trust at all. So let his people go, or he will beat you all up. Everyone then tries to sorta talk Clark down. Maxima states that a war is on the way, and that Imperiex is coming. Clark blinks at that. He and Mongol already teamed up to beat Imperiex, but not the actual Imperiex, Maxima argues back. Graven jumps back in, reminding all of them that they aren't to discuss their plans until their leader meets with the Earth's leader, and they don't have time to cater to one man's needs. He steps up to Clark. But if he really wants some attention, Graven will deal with him. Adam Strange suddenly jumps up, and, wanting to stop this fight, he holds up a device. He and Clark are suddenly teleported away, and we then follow them across space. Adam gestures at an expanse of nothing. There's just pure darkness, no stars, no anything. This is where Maxima's galaxy used to be. Her world, her entire civilization, her galaxy, all of it destroyed by Imperiex. This is the threat that Earth is preparing to face right now. This is why they need Metropolis. Adam, as a representative of the world Rann, that's R-A-N-N, wouldn't ally with a group like this otherwise. That's how serious things are. Unable to share more, Adam says that he's going to teleport Clark back to Earth now, where he will be given answers. Before Adam does, Clark tells him that there are specific individuals on the Ark who sure do mean a lot to him. They should be informed about him leaving. Adam assures Superman that the Metropolian people will be kept informed and treated well. Already they're adapting, and we cut away to see Lois and her crew distributing supplies and building structures. Does Clark need him to pass on a message? Yes. He asks Adam to let them know that they haven't been abandoned. And then, add beef bourguignon with ketchup. Those who need to know what that means will know what it means. Beef bourguignon with ketchup, by the way, is Superman's favorite food. It is also a code phrase for those close to him. This way, Lois will know that he is okay, despite him having to leave. Very thoughtful. Adam teleports Clark back to the physical location of Metropolis on Earth. He flies home, changes into his supersuit, and flies back out, hungry for answers. Alien ships hang in the air over the city as they abduct more and more of the inhabitants, but then a massive boom fills the air. Suddenly, hanging above Earth is another planet. Its surface is covered by geometric shapes. There is no greenery or water to be seen. Massive pits spew fire into the sky, silhouetting the alien fleet. Superman recognizes the planet as Apocalypse, spelled Apokolips. If Apocalypse is involved, then that can mean only one man is the leader of this alliance. Hanging in the air between the planet and Superman is a tall, broad, bulky man. He wears thick blue-gray armor over his cracked, stone-like skin. Glowing red eyes peer out from under a thick brow as he raises a hand. Darkseid's battle this day is not with Superman. No. Today he fights in order to save the Earth. So, I don't know a lot about Superman. I'll freely admit that, possibly for the rest of my life. But even I know that Darkseid is DC's bad guy of bad guys. He is their epitome of evil, and he has been a longtime foe of Superman. This is another great move by the Superman creative teams. While we finally have a name for our ultimate enemy, Imperiex, and we know how dangerous it is, having seen the vast emptiness of space where Maxima's galaxy once was, none of that really, hit home for me. A name is just a name. A missing galaxy is... it's almost a concept that is too big to feel. I can understand it logically, but emotionally I've got nothing. But seeing the fire pits of Apocalypse hanging over the Earth, knowing that Darkseid is Earth's surprise ally, that disturbs me. There is little that a being like Darkseid fears, and he respects few enough to defend them. But knowing that he is on our side, for now at least, makes the danger seem much more real. It makes it seem bigger, actually. I wanted to take a moment to comment on author Mark Schultz here. Out of these 4 issues, Schultz is the only one whose work I'm very unfamiliar with, so this is my introduction to his writing. I do dig the overall tone here. The sense of confusion at the beginning really hit me, and it just kept ramping up from there. We go from alien abduction to an alliance of some of Superman's space foes and friends, to a missing galaxy, and then to Darkseid allying with Earth. I kind of felt like Alice tumbling down the rabbit hole. Things just kept getting weirder. Some of the dialogue is a bit stiff in my eyes, but it's nothing terribly egregious, especially given that I had been reading Chris Claremont's Fantastic Four before this. This book is totally readable. It's a good read, it's solid, not much wrong with it. Fun fact, Mark Schultz is perhaps best known in the comics world as the creator of the Xenozoic Tales, a post-apocalyptic story where pollution ruined Earth and the humans who survived only survived in bunkers deep underground, and when they came back to the surface, they discovered that the entire planet had changed and dinosaurs were alive again and all kinds of weird stuff. This comic was actually the inspiration for the 1993 cartoon and video game called Cadillacs and Dinosaurs. I don't have a lot of experience with either, but the name Cadillacs and Dinosaurs does stand out to me, so this was kind of a cool little backwards thing to find out. So is there anything else to talk about here? We've got the King of Evil proposing an alliance with DC's Beacon of Hope. I want to know how, I want to know why, and I'm sure that Superman's head is spinning even worse than mine is, actually. So let's move the floop on and get into it. Superman in Action Comics issue 780. closes out the first phase of Our Worlds at War. It's written by Joe Casey, penciled by Kano, inked by Marlo Alquiza, and was colored by Rob Schwager. 780 opens with 2 stories running simultaneously. The first is Superman's reaction to Darkseid, which we'll find out more on later. The second is a fight scene that we only catch glimpses of. It's actually not even a fight scene, it's just a single punch, just zoomed in a little bit more each time, and what a punch it is. The strength of the blow is enough to have blood pour from Superman's mouth and nose. The final panel does spin around. We look into Superman's eyes, and we see his opponent in the reflection there. Against him stands an armored warrior, every bit of his costume colored red. Who is this being? How did Superman end up fighting them? And how are they able to handle the last son of Krypton so easily? We'll find out in a minute. Superman hangs in the air above Darkseid. Surrounding him are members of the JLA, including the Flash, the Martian Manhunter, Aquaman, Green Lantern, and Plastic Man. All of them are in top intimidation form. The Flash moves so quickly while standing still that 5 ghost images hang in the air, their arms crossed. The Martian has an assorted mass of tentacles waving from inside of his blue cape. Aquaman brandishes his spear. The Green Lantern aims like 50 energy construct guns from his crotch like he's riding them, and Plastic Man has stretched his muscles so that he looks super buff. Apocalypse hangs in the background of this 2-page spread, as does Darkseid's allied fleet of ships. It is a badass-looking image, and Superman holds down the center. Darkseid has invaded his planet and kidnapped his city. What does he think he's doing here? Darkseid calmly folds his arms behind his back. If he had invaded Earth, then the Justice League would be dead and Metropolis would be littered with corpses. This isn't an invasion, fool. This is a rescue. Now, Superman has spoken to Darkseid's lieutenants, yes? Then he knows what Darkseid is doing here. Superman's answer is one word. Imperiex. Darkseid grunts in response. Yes, the end point. The null. Then he knows everything that he needs to. Darkseid tries to blow off Superman from there, but Superman rests a hand on his shoulder, letting him know that he's not going anywhere. Darkseid responds to this by firing a bolt of energy at Superman, rocketing him away. The Martian Manhunter telepathically calls for Plastic Man, who tries to catch the streaking hero, but there is just so much force that Superman keeps going, stretching Plastic Man even further out. Green Lantern tries to help, generating a baseball glove to help the catch. Meanwhile, the Martian Manhunter holds back the Flash and Aquaman, who are eager to retaliate for their friend. The Manhunter understands that Darkseid is trying to goad them into a fight, and Darkseid smiles at his unlikely ally's intelligence. A large helicopter swoops in overhead of all this, and a circular platform lowers from it. President Lex Luthor and his security forces approach Darkseid, who recognize Luthor as the insect in charge. Superman now streaks back, horrified that Luthor knew what was happening. But Luthor remains calm. Of course he knew. He's the President of the United States. Then he turns to Darkseid and asks if everything is going according to specifications. Darkseid replies with, quote, "Your tides are on schedule. Your moon has not spiraled into the sun," end quote. Implying that, yes, all goes the way that it should. I love Darkseid's dialogue and arrogance here. Just, damn, Joe Casey nails it. Superman approaches again, but much more calmly this time. He still demands answers, wanting to know why he was not informed about this development, this plan, this whatever it is. Luthor replies that he would have told him, had he not been so eager to get into a fight. Luthor turns to the JL now. He has preparations that he could use their help with, if they're willing, so long as Superman isn't involved. If you think that's petty, you ain't wrong. And Superman sees the insult, so he steps closer to Luthor, wanting to help. Luthor promises that he will help with this. But not here and not now. There are reports of an attack in Berlin by the forces of the General. Superman's eye twitches at the mention of this particular foe, but he stands firm. He isn't leaving. Luthor rests a hand on Superman's shoulder. Look, you're part of the plan. You will help us in this particular crisis, he says. But right now, there are people dying in Berlin. Superman can get there fast, he can handle almost any threat, and if he can stop the General there, then he may just keep America out of another war. This needs to be addressed. And Superman is the best man to do it. The Martian Manhunter telepathically tells Superman that he has the Watchtower, that's the JLA's satellite base, locked onto Luthor's DNA. If he so much as sneezes weird, then they can teleport him to Neptune in seconds. Even with that promise, though, it still takes Superman a moment to make his decision. But he does leave. The majority of this opening half is pretty straightforward. Author Kelly is following up upon story elements from our last issue, picking up the ball that Mark Schultz put into play and running with it. He is also the first author to include any of the Justice League in this war effort, and I know that they have a one-shot in Our Worlds at War, so I'm hoping that this here sets that story up. Despite having Superman's back in a potential fight with Darkseid, I was both surprised and relieved when they didn't join his attack on him. I'm surprised because Darkseid is definitely a bad guy that they are aware of. There is an alien fleet abducting people, and sure, there is a burning planet in the sky. This would be a moment where the Justice League should be fighting Darkseid most of the time. This looks really bad. But the Justice League members don't get to rush in. The Martian Manhunter remains calm, and he directs them from behind the scenes. He wants to know why this is happening more than he wants a pointless fight. So that's kind of cool. We have seen Superman get abducted in the night, been jerked around for our past 3 issues, and then gotten to see many of his greatest enemies ally, which again is all bad stuff to him. So when we get to this point, Superman wants a fight, where the Manhunter wants answers. That's smart. Author Kelly considering both of their characters and how they would react to this situation, and then writing them correspondingly. That's some good character writing, especially for a character who's ultimately a background character in this, like the Martian Manhunter. Given my unfamiliarity with these particular runs of comics, I figured that author Kelly seeded the fight scene at the beginning to show us something that was coming up later on in the issue. But no, those images that we saw aren't glimpses of the future. They are memories of the past. Someone more familiar with this run might nail down the reference right away, so they would get this set up immediately. But I have had to piece it together mostly after the fact, which I've enjoyed doing, don't get me wrong. That sequence threw me originally, much as our last issue did, but I'm crawling my way back here. The artwork and story then jumps to Berlin, where Superman is hefting tanks over his head. Voiceover narration has Luthor explaining the General's moves, highlighting how dangerous and or brilliant this guy is, whoever he is under that mask. President Luthor already has troops in the area, so Superman will have backup, but after his last fight with the General, Luthor thought that Superman would want to go in first. What exactly is it between these two? He asks, implying a deeper connection than just foe and hero. Superman replies that he doesn't know. And true, he doesn't know the General's motivations, but inwardly he knows why he wants this. During their last battle, the General broke Superman's jaw. That punch at the beginning of the book with all the booms, I think that punch is this jaw break. Do you know the number of beings that can damage Superman like that? Because there ain't a lot of them. That is a rare wound, and Superman still feels the emotional pain from it. He unleashes that pain on the General's troops, destroying tanks, fighter jets, and crushing missiles with his bare hands. One of the things that I particularly like about this scene is artist Kano makes sure to put the people in these vehicles escaping every time. It's such a, 1980s, 1990s cartoon series enforced by the law kind of thing, where you can't kill Cobra soldiers in a G.I. Joe cartoon. They always have to eject out of the plane. It was such a dorky little thing, but it does help sell the idea that Superman doesn't kill people just because they're his enemies, but it does also come across as silly. Our Worlds at War is meant to be presented as a war story, and then when Superman goes to attack a defending general, he just leaves all of his troops alive so that they can come back later, I guess. Feel free to debate how you feel over the moralities of war yourself. I just thought this was a neat background element that in each panel you could see a little dude jumping out of a tank or a plane or something. Eventually, though, all that's left of the troops is the general and his 3 superpowered allies. I'm not going to go into detail regarding those allies, as they aren't involved in the rest of the story at all. Yeah, they are here, they just aren't important. Real quick, I'm going to pause, because I want to comment on Kelly's writing. Because as Superman is smashing things, there are a number of dialogue lines that run through his mind. There are lines from Luthor, who sets up the fight. There's some stuff new and old from the Martian Manhunter. There are a few lines from Darkseid. There are even a few from Manchester Black's appearance in Adventures of Superman. The point here is that all of those conversations are swirling around in Clark's mind, haunting him, riling him up, making him want this fight even more. He is silent during his attack, though, and, as we'll see in his upcoming fight with the General, he is distant and serious. He's lost in his own thoughts and anger here, but goddamn, if that wasn't a confusing page to read. The dialogue balloons don't convey which character was speaking very well. They do it. There are some little graphics meant to be like, oh, this is the Martian Manhunter. Oh, this is Darkseid. But some of them appear on the left-hand side of the word balloon. Some of them appear on the right-hand side of the word balloon. Some of the word balloons change color in like midstream. So it's real easy to get lost over who is speaking, what time they were speaking at. Those kinds of things. The Martian Manhunter is telepathic, so he could be talking to Superman during this entire fight, and if you don't do something to make that look distinct, it just looks like a flashback balloon. Or you could make a flashback balloon look like something that's happening now. There is a good concept here, and I like the idea, but the lettering by Comicraft really needed to be clarified a lot better. So Superman finds the General and challenges him to a fight. The General agrees, so they charge, slam into each other, and then they rise into the air like Goku and Vegeta going at it in Dragon Ball Z. As they fight, Superman asks why the General is doing this, and the General replies that he does this because he can, because he has the power to do so. As they fight, he matches every punch with super strength of his own, matches Superman's heat vision with his own heat vision. Everything that Superman can do, so can the General. He finally wraps his hands around Superman's neck, saying that he has done everything that he has done, so that one day Superman would kneel before Zod. Superman blinks. Zod? That can't be. He flashes back to the moment in which he actually killed Zod. Whoa. I didn't know that was a thing. At first, Superman is all, no, that can't be, there is no Zod here, which is some awkward dialogue, man. I didn't even alter that, but Zod is like, oh yeah? What are you gonna do about it? Kill me? And then Superman is really horrified, this outcry seeming to confirm for him that this is Zod, because no one knew about Superman killing the dude. I don't quite buy that jump in logic. Like, I'm sure there are telepaths, mind readers, and magic users in the DC universe who could learn this secret, but we're gonna go with it. Sure, we're caught up in a fight scene in an emotional moment, let's not worry about that. Before the pair can finish their fight, something blows past them both. Superman gloats. Ha ha! You missed! But Zod is confused. That was not an attack by him. The streak arcs towards Earth, and they both watch for a moment, just confused and unsure of what's happening. Zod suggests that they settle this later, and after a pause, with one last look at the general, Superman gives chase. We now bounce to the White House, where Lena appears behind Luthor for just a moment, warning him that it is time. Then she's gone, and an aide rushes in the room. He tells the president that something horrible has happened to Kansas. From the upper atmosphere, Superman watches a mushroom cloud bloom over his adopted home state. He's too late. General Zod is another one of Superman's greatest enemies. Like Clark, Zod is a survivor of Krypton, but where Superman has decided to defend his adopted homeworld, Zod wishes to crush it beneath his boot. He is a perfect complement to Superman, and I really dug Kelly's build to their encounter. The fight itself suffers slightly because of some more stiff dialogue and a few more annoying flashback lines that I'm still not sure of the purpose of. I dug Zod just letting Superman go to deal with whatever this threat was at the very end. He comments that they are living in interesting times, which is a nod to the proverb, "May you live in interesting times," a way of politely wishing trouble upon a foe. Zod knows that his schemes will wait, that his day will come. Let whatever this is tear Clark apart first. Then he will crush him. While this issue is the weakest for me overall of the four that we've discussed, it's still a great setup issue. I love the serious, dramatic tone that's here. Author Kelly makes it feel like everything that Clark has been through lately matters, that it's weighing him down and it's stressing him out. There's a heaviness to this issue that's really enjoyable. Kano and Alquiza's artwork is new to me, but their work is somewhere between the darker style of Mahnke and the more animated styles of McGuinness and Ringo from last episode. He definitely uses more shadows than either of they do. I was getting a real Patrick Gleason vibe from the whole issue. Like Gleason, some of the shots are really detailed, and then others are less so, just kind of varying from page to page. But that 2-page spread right at the start was boss. It was just so cool. And then the 2-page spread of the mushroom cloud at the end is great. You can actually make out streets and buildings on Earth. It is so detailed. The fight with Zod was intense and brutal. Overall, I was really impressed artistically. I could definitely see myself becoming a fan of Kano if I read more work by him. And, for now, that is going to be it for Our Worlds at War. Kansas just got blown the F up. Sit with that for a few weeks, huh? I still need to get the next 4 issues of this crossover, and then I need to make sure that I don't need anything else before I can continue with more episodes. Which means that next week, we are back in the Marvel Universe, and we pick up where we left off with the Fantastic Four. The heroes faced down the threat of Crucible, reunited their family, and things have finally settled down enough for things to go back to normal. Yeah, okay, sure. Join me in a week for Fantastic Four Volume 3, Episode 12.7, The Accused. Everyone, there are a million podcasts vying for your time and attention, and I'd like to thank you for listening to mine. If you would like to get in touch with me, to share a concern, request a series, compliment me, berate me, whatever you like, send me an email at cbbreakdown@gmail.com. Otherwise, thanks for listening.